Work with all your heart as for the Lord, not for people, because you serve Christ and will receive your reward, the Apostle Paul tells the Colossians. On this episode of Priming Pillars, we continue with tech entrepreneur Cathy Wendt, Syscon's owner and president, on building strong team culture, leading across generations, and preparing for the coming AI tsunami. That and much more on Priming Pillars. Welcome back to Priming Pillars, a Pillars on Purpose production. We are speaking about Christians, CEOs in business, and we are rejoined by our owner and president of Syscon, Cathy Wendt. Cathy is a lifelong leader, the eldest of 11. She is the president and owner of a technology company, which is also a family-owned business. And she's an artist and communicator and a trained musician. Cathy, it is so great to have you back. Thanks so much for joining.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Always. Cathy, in our last episode, we covered a lot of ground about integrating your faith in your leadership approach, leading a family business, probably one of the most challenging things in the world to do, and the markers in your life that led you to this point. Now, I'd like to turn the corner and talk about team building, working cross-generationally, which is so important to us here at Pillars on Purpose, and the intensity of this unknowable thing called AI, artificial intelligence. So let's start with team. Okay. How do you really cultivate workplace culture that builds team, sort of inspires innovation, and most importantly, exceeds customer expectations?
Super intentional. There is no other way to say it than super intentional. The amount of time our leadership team spends on this topic and the activities that we have to keep our teams connected is crazy and very intense. We used to have an office where most of us were most of the time. We've moved to fully remote, which has just upped the ante on our intentions to keep that sense of team. A couple of things, read a great book by General McChrystal, retired general, on teams. And in there he talked about they had the best military in the world, but they were getting beat. And some of it was that command structure that they had, they couldn't move fast enough. And he talked about putting people in a circle to have the conversations and intentional spacing to keep people connected. And I got to thinking in my office, programming room was over there, the IT room was the biggest one over there, and down that hall was finance. And I thought, this isn't working. So I put the little fridge in the tech room. So no matter who you were, to get the cold drink, you had to go into the tech room. And then I put the water cooler in the programming room. And if you were a tech, you had to get up to fill your water to go into there. And then I put the treats in the kitchen outside the finance hall. And lo and behold, what are they going to do? Walk by each other and not say hi? Of course they're going to be polite. So I thought this will be a way to kind of initially break down this, oh, they're in that office. No, we're in the office. Let's get connected here. So super simple little things like that, but then more. So we did a theme one year, which was building teams. And at our mid-year state of the company, what we did is Nina did a little interview with everyone about their hobbies, gardening, or whatever they love to do. And then we went and we got Lego sets. And we sent a separate Lego set to everybody. And we said, don't open it, there's a box coming. And it was themed on there. So someone got a record player. Someone got all these gardening things. Someone else got a big, beautiful flower. Everyone got something different. And they opened it up on the event. And this was connecting, building kind of a thing. And everyone held up their little design. And then we asked them to build it with their family and send pictures. So at the next company event, we had the pictures of everybody's completed things and who had done it. So that's one. Another was the superhero. There was Superhero Day. We let everyone tell us their favorite superhero, and we got a headshot of everybody and the image of the superhero. We put that together, and we had 2 slides showing each person in their own superhero costume. Just intentional things about each other, for each other, saying we hear you, we see you, we're glad you're with us.
I love that. Innovation and intentionality. Now, in my family, we call that forced family fun. But In the last episode, you talked a lot about building the values and the behaviors that you're searching for, and that's great. You covered that really well. Now, in this podcast, I'm going to talk about: do you mind for those in the interview process with intentionality, or do you then try to instill them through the onboarding process and the ongoing training? Where do you focus your time there?
In the hiring process, it is important to bring this up, and we have this balance that we're looking for. They need to be able to work independently, um,
Hmm.
remotely, and not everyone can do that without being distracted and really do produce their work. At the same time, we do act as a team. Everyone's part of a team
Hmm.
that has a specific focus, and we need them to be able to communicate and stay connected with them. So we have daily stand-ups. If whatever team you're on, you're in a daily stand-up on camera. So you can see each other, you can read body language if someone's having a down day or someone seems distracted, and it's not optional. On camera, you're in stand-up every day for your team. Then we have a town hall once a month where everyone's on camera. You can see everybody. And again, we're looking for body language, teams that we don't get to see very often, very intentionally connecting, sharing some thoughts for that particular day. So those would be some of the things once you're hired, but also before
Right.
you're hired, we're having those conversations. So who do you work with? Have you worked remotely before? Have you always been
Hmm.
in an office? How do you handle those family distractions? Do you have a quiet place to work? Those are all part of the process.
It sounds like you have been channeling some Patrick Lencioni from your life. Is that
Oh,
true? Do I have that right?
lots of him. Yes, we love
Yeah.
Patrick. Actually,
Yep.
every new hire gets the book Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And then every
Perfect.
several months or so, we'll do a book review with everyone who hasn't read it, and anyone who has can join us, of course. We have done the Working Genius assessments too, kind of
Hmm.
check people in. We
Yep.
actually, in the hiring process, we do several assessments with an outside lady who's been helping with us. We're looking for EQ as well as that DISC profile, not only for the team, but also the skills that we need them to do. But you can be super skilled and very disconnected, and you will not be happy working for us, no matter how good you are.
There you go. I'm hearing hungry, humble, smart ringing in my brain back and forth over and over here. So I'm going to pivot to something on this because you and I both know that I spend a lot of time working with attorneys, lawyers in constitutional law. I found that in high intellectual pursuits, tech, law, engineering, etc., they tend to attract stars, or shall I say, perhaps prima donnas. Do you accommodate the star performers differently than, say, the steady players? And if so, how do you balance that?
The answer is we do not.
Okay.
They can be very disruptive. I will
Yeah.
say though that 10, 15 years ago, that was harder to manage because back then, most of our IT support was on site at our customers' offices. And to do that well, these techs needed to be a little bit heavier D on the disk profile because they
Yeah.
needed to stand up. They needed to be able to talk with the owner, to make recommendations, to be firm in some of the policies and things. That was a little bit harder to manage with that in mind. Nowadays, with so much of it done remotely, the expectation on our customers is that they will have a kind, resourceful, responsive, thoughtful person on the other end of the phone. And so that has shifted the kind of disc profile. We need a little bit more S in that
Yeah.
mix and a lot of C because we've got to be accurate and we've got to get it right, but a little bit more S in there. And that has served us well. But it again is super intentional in the hiring and then also as we add other skills and trainings.
Well, I never accomplished this, but I'm sure you did. And what I'm getting at is that you are 100 for 100 in hiring. So you never ever have to let anybody go. I unfortunately was not that skilled at that percentage or achieving that percentage rate. So, what factors really weigh in your decision making when it's time to separate with someone?
Well, the highest one would be any disconnect with any of the core values.
Yeah.
Uh, that would be an immediate conversation of we either have not conveyed this well to you or
Hmm.
this is not something you can embrace and that's okay too. So that would be the first like immediate issue. It's usually several weeks in though. We do have some, as I mentioned, trust accelerators. One of them is delivering the mail to the right address. So if you need to have a conversation with someone, you go to
Right.
the one, not everyone else.
Right.
When we see people not following that, we're definitely going to have that conversation. But that is super disruptive for us and really erodes trust across our teams very quickly. So we would definitely want to get in front of that. And if that can't be curbed, they can't stay. It's, from a morale perspective, if someone is feeling that and they're having these isolated conversations behind about somebody else, that it is the morale
Totally
is,
disruptive. Totally
yeah,
disruptive. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And, this is a point where even as a Christ follower, we're not playing God. We can't be God for that person. And we're actually holding them back from finding their next, right?
Yes, people
Hmm.
do get to choose who they are and who they want to be. And those of us with children, you can raise them well, you can instill those values, you can
Right.
do all of those things. You'll never do them perfectly, but you can strive for all that. But at some point in those mid-teenage years, late teenage years, they decide what kind of person they're going to be. And we pray for that their whole life and even beyond that, but they still get to decide. And our employees get to decide too. They can decide that life has changed and they want something else. Um, we aren't changing. So
Hmm.
come join us for a couple of years. If that doesn't fit your life anymore, we
Hmm.
release you to get to that next big opportunity and a next place you can thrive.
Hmm. Well, your conversation about raising next gens swerves us into our next topic. I want to make sure we cover this. One of our key objectives here at Pillars on Purpose, and the reason for this very podcast, is to share life's wisdom across generations, kind of boomers through zoomers and vice versa. Cathy, you shared a baseball story with me, and as kind of a baseball fan, we're both from Chicago. Go Cubs, yes, of course. You shared a baseball story with me. I thought it was great. So, can you talk about this in relationship to onboarding sort of the Zoomers and the team members that you have?
Yes. So just to recap, just in general, this was an old time coach who was talking to a big group of people, all coaches of their own, and they were talking about how wide is home base. And for our
Right.
star players, they don't follow the rules and such. Do we make home base bigger and give them extra room, or do we hold them accountable? And he went on to talk about not just in our teams, but in our schools and our families and our local communities and our government institutions. Are we keeping true to that? Are we holding people accountable? It's a great story. I do encourage you to go find it. Uh, so how to do that when you're actually in the throes of business? We definitely want to give people some wiggle room to grow and thrive in where they are and who they are within what we have. And there is a lot of room for that. But prima
Hmm.
donnas and people that put others down or elevate themselves, or are not integral with our clients' data or the advice they're giving, that we just can't have. And we need to move on from that.
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you, as a former pitcher, I like that plate a lot larger than it was because it hurt me through my pitching career. But when it does apply to the, I think I know the answer to this. Of course, I do through the conversation. But when it applies to the Zoomer generation, do you find the need to adapt your leadership style to their communication and work preferences, or do you expect the Zoomers to adapt to yours?
Actually, everyone's got to do some adapting. I've done several webinars and lunch and learns on the multi-generational teams that we have, 4, sometimes 5 generations in a company. That's unheard of historically. It's an amazing opportunity, but it brings a whole rash of concerns. And ours were focused on the construction industry, of course, when we were talking
Yeah.
with them. But yes, both sides. So the younger ones, you need to respect that there's wisdom out there and
Yes.
drink it in. Drink it in. It can only help you grow and learn. You don't have to do everything you're told, but drink it in and learn. And those of you who are imparting the wisdom, get over yourself. Be kind. Understand that they see the world a little differently than you. Lighten up. Can you meet them for a smoothie? Okay, maybe that's not your thing, but like, can you meet them for a smoothie? Have a conversation. Can you ask them some personal questions? How are you doing? What do you have in a loft? Do you have an apartment? Tell me about your life. Yes, you have wisdom to share, but that doesn't make you a mini god. You're a person.
Hmm.
convey. Pretend you're the grandparent. Would you treat the younger person differently if you were the grandparent instead of
Mm.
the wise expert that's tasked with teaching them? So I think everyone's got to open up a little bit and lighten up a little bit. We all have things to learn from each other, and respect. Absolutely respect.
Got it. So, in other words, your hot take is adapt and respect. Did I get that right?
Yes.
I like smoothies, so I'm all down for that.
Okay. All right.
All right. So, what qualities do you see in the next gens that really enhance your culture and therefore your business? When I have tech issues, I'm going to my 25-year-olds all the time. So, what qualities are you seeing there that are enhancing your business?
Actually, I think one of the biggest qualities we've seen in some of the younger generation is EQ.
Mm,
Just their ability to read a room, read a person, tune
yes.
in. I don't know that they're always aware that that's why they're responding the way they are, but the EQ in, I would say, the last two generations, the younger two generations, I'll say it that way, in the workforce now is much higher than our older generation workers. And that's why they got to lighten up. But using those skills as they're interacting with their fellow workers, as well as the clients and each other, I think would serve them well. But that is a unique trait. And with so much remote now, EQ is a big deal because you aren't going to be able to sit down face to face with the person. All you have is maybe a video or a phone
Yeah.
call to be able to help
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah. High empathy. I agree with you on that. And that is a lesson for us, especially high D's, high I's that are older, to embrace and just learn to adapt and learn to innovate, live with. Okay. Tech is tricky and speedy. How do you evaluate between having your business on the bleeding edge or being a laggard or somewhere in between? I mean, the tech industry is booming, first trillionaire in the world. I mean, it's insane what's going on. How do you determine those, where in the spectrum you fit?
Yeah. Well, one of the things we're very well known for and we do quite a bit of is we use the technology that we recommend our clients use. So
Oh,
by the time we're recommending it to them, we've probably already had it in place and are working on it, actually working out some of the kinks, automating, thinking about if we were to present this to our clients, is it the right thing? But also, what would they need to know and learn in order to embrace it and understand the value of it, or at least believe us that it's important and let us help them. So that's one trick that we've had, is doing it internally. Even as a tech group, though, we can get a little overwhelmed with the number of things we are testing or training. I do remember
I,
the day that I said to Chris, he said, well, I need you to log in and take a look at this, and I want to show you how to move around in this software. And I said, not today. You have hit me with four, you've hit me with 4 or 5 new tools that you've asked me to use. I am doing my best to do this. This is disruptive to my day because I'm not as fast or as efficient. And I'm
Mhm.
going to absorb this. I need at least another week with these tools before you give me anything else. And he said, got it. And so just sometimes needing to say that I am at full out, and I need you to respect that as well. And I'm honest in my video
Yeah.
blogs. I'm very honest when I say about passwords. I said, so before you hang up on me, hear me out. I don't like this either. And every time it comes up, I take a deep breath and remind myself that I would be more upset if I was hacked, and then I need to just get over it. So
Back to adapt and innovate. I love it. All right. You knew you weren't going to get away without answering this AI question. Do you see AI taking over everything and displacing workers, and the upside of that being that we just get to sit at home and punch in a keyboard and send our robot out somewhere to do something for us, or what?
yeah. No, of course not. Interestingly, when I've written several articles on this, but one of the first ones I
Hmm.
did, I had AI draw me a caboose, a little red caboose. Remember those? Every
Sure.
every train had a little red caboose and a guy that was in it. They were all men back then doing it, and that was their job. And when the cabooses went away, everybody was so upset. What were these people going to do? They were going to lose their job. There was no
Right.
work for them. How could we do that? How could we let technology for these trains take over the fact that this was the livelihood of these people? Well, guess what? Now we've got the technology that needs to be updated. We've got other things that need to be done, and we have more interesting work. And all those people found that job became obsolete. That doesn't mean there's
Hmm.
no. So that was the first thing I thought of when I started hearing this fear mongering, and a lot of it is fear mongering. On the other hand, this will change how many of us do work. And I interviewed one of our developers. His name is Mariano, and
Hmm.
he has been with us about 7 or 8 years. And he does a lot of our custom integrations, software, and our website, and some of our automation tools. Excellent, excellent guy. I talked to him about it and I said, so what are you doing with the AI? He goes, this is my new best friend. The stuff that I hate doing, that takes me hours and hours and hours, I treated him like an intern and I trained my agent to do the grunt work of it. And now these libraries that I've been putting off upgrading, I've got them done in no time and I don't mind updating them more frequently, which is going to help all of us. He said, here's the other thing. I was having this conversation with Claude the other night about some ideas and he went on to tell me about the conversation he had with Claude, and he was feeding it his ideas on how to automate something. And they built something together. He said it would have taken me 3 times the time, and I wouldn't have had some of the creative ideas I came up with based on the feedback I got. He is excited, and they love it.
I have a dear friend and mentor who's in his mid 80s, who's written a number of books and hundreds of articles. And he just sent me an email with an attachment, 240 pages. And he said, could you proofread this for me? I'd just like to get a sense of it. And I kind of went, what? And he said, yeah, I just fed in all the articles I wrote in my lifetime on this certain subject. And I asked Claude to put it into a book format and to smooth it out and so on and so forth. So his book is, entitled, and then it's written by Darrow, my friend Darrow, and Claude. So I have a job to do on my vacation coming up, and that is look at this book and see how it rolls. So
Well,
with,
and
go ahead,
someone might want to go back and make sure that Claude didn't make its own edits.
pilfer it. Yes. That gets me to my next question. Are technology innovations crossing with Christian ethics, and how do we manage that?
Yeah, I've had that question before, actually.
Yeah,
I
you
do
know I'm
want to
not the
put,
first.
no, sorry. I also do want to put a little plug in on the AI thing just to wrap up that idea. Uh,
Yeah, please.
as people are uploading data to these public AI tools, it is important to think about the nature of the data that they're putting up there. You are putting
Hmm.
it outside your control. If you have employees and they have personal AI accounts and they're using business data in it, that is
Oh
outside
boy.
your control.
Oh boy. Yeah. Good
And if
point.
you if you're doing something like Copilot, which is not the best tool for everything, but it does a lot, it at least honors your Microsoft tenant rules of who can go where and who can see what. So if you're experimenting, start with the more secure things and at least make rules for people not to upload business data out to the cloud without you knowing what they're uploading, especially if it's
Great
sensitive.
point. Great
Okay.
advice. Great advice. Okay.
So as for the ethics of it,
Yes.
I think it's just like everything else that happens in our world. What are the ethics of the faster cars? What are the ethics of using computers? The internet. The internet, all the way from horrible things that are out there to
Sure.
you can look up anything you want and be educated on it, on a health issue, on a family issue, books, reviews, anything you want. And AI is a tool. Is it a
Hmm.
villain? Is it a friend? It's both. It's a tool. It's a tool. And how we choose to use it comes back to who are we? Who am I? What are my guidelines? How do I behave? How do I use my money? How do I handle my finances? How do I meet my neighbors in the community? How do I use AI?
Yeah. That's why the Bible is so perfect throughout all time. It's a book written to the heart of man. It's a book written for the redemption of man's heart. And that's how we can take everything that we're experiencing, regardless of the age, and apply biblical wisdom and truth to it to drive our morality and how we're going to use a tool, whether for good or for evil. That's why God's word is so clear and why we should be in community with one another, keeping each other accountable and sharp. So, Cathy, thank you. I want to leave you with one more sort of bottom line question. It seems like, well, two actually. It seems like the secular world is leading the way in tech, leading the way in media, academia, culture. What role and responsibility do Christian business leaders have in pushing back against the culture?
Pushing back against the culture.
Mm.
I
Or
feel
maybe,
the
or maybe being thought leaders in the culture. Maybe that's a better way to phrase that. Being
yes,
sort of thought leaders into the culture.
thought leaders in the culture and setting that example,
Yeah.
um, and not going out and advertising, look at my example, but being the example, being in the right room, and frankly, participating in organizations and not sitting behind a desk saying, oh, wow, look at how bad everyone's behaved. Go out there and behave well in front of them. Go get
Mm.
involved with the community. Go get in front of that association that you're questioning whether they're going a direction that makes sense or that they are impacting the culture in a way you didn't intend. Well, go participate, go join, make sure your voice is heard. Share a book, share a thought, join an organization, get some
Mm-hmm.
tools yourself. Go read some of the business guidelines that we are allowed as Christian owners to have that ADF puts out there, Alliance Defending Freedom. We have rights to be able to run our business how we wish, and we have a responsibility and a target on our back if we say it and we don't do it. So be ready for the fallout. If you choose to say who you are, you have to be who you said.
You have just synthesized our entire tagline in that. Our role is to know God, know Him intimately, know His Word, to stand firm on His Word and apply it effectively, and then to take action balancing grace and truth by getting involved in areas where God has placed us. So, Cathy, last question. What advice do you have for young Christian entrepreneurs blazing the trail of business ownership or aspiring to be like you, a business leader? What advice do you have for them?
I would say be involved, as I've already said throughout
Mm-hmm.
this conversation. I would say be a reader. And if you prefer audiobooks, fine, whatever. But there
Yep.
are lots of great books on leadership, but also on lots of topics that as business leaders we have to come up against. Books on money, books on boundaries, relationships, how we hire, how we treat our employees, frankly, how we treat our families. So you treat all your employees great, how you doing at home? These are all things that we need to get in front of if we are aspiring to be Christian leaders in a business. Yes, you need leadership skills, but that's not enough by itself. These other components really round out who you are and how you will behave. And as your breadth grows, your responsibilities will grow with it, and you'll find new opportunities to lead.
Mm. Leaders are readers and leaders are learners. You heard it from Cathy Wendt. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Thank you for having me. This has been great conversation.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, everyone, especially those rising leaders who listen and bring their friends. Gen Z leaders want to be a pillar for faith, a pillar in community, and a pillar of witness to our world. Go to pillarsonpurpose.com and click Join Us and jump in. Seasoned leaders with hard-won wisdom, we need you too. You can also visit pillarsonpurpose.com and get involved. Pillars on Purpose. Let's together envision a world anew through the faithful few, that could be you, who reach the many to proclaim the one.